Happy Sunday. Good evening. Hope everybody's doing well. Let's go ahead and get everybody in here so we can get the show started. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see what we got. Hope everybody had a great week. I know that we're getting close to starting this new week, so the weekend goes by fast for sure. All right. How y'all doing? Good to see y'all. Good to see. But we're gonna fight through it. All right. Hey.
What's up? What's up?
Not much. How you doing?
I'm good. Good. Can't complain.
All right. Yeah, this IG live thing has like a different little look to it. So I think I missed a button, but
They're forever changing it.
yeah, we're moving. We'll get Greg in here and then we'll get started. Let's see. How's the weather up there? It's hot,
It's
right?
hot, man. I'm dying. Dying.
Oh man, it's definitely one of those situations to where sometimes people think just because you guys are up north that it doesn't get hot in the summer, but
Oh, it
the
does.
yeah, it's brutal,
Yeah.
right?
My car registered 99 degrees when I got in it today. I was like, oh my God.
All right. Still trying to get Greg in here, so hopefully he'll jump in here in a second. Says he's unable to join, but we're gonna fight through that. See, Greg.
There he is.
Hey man.
Hey, made it through. Sorry about
Yeah.
that.
No, it's all good, man. IG, does IG things.
That's it.
All
Heard the
right.
conversation about the weather and the humidity up here. I think is what we are not used to. It is. This has been disgusting.
Yeah, it's brutal. My AC gave out yesterday, so that wasn't good.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah, and
back up
Greg's a little bit
playing.
north
Got the
of
fans
you.
in the windows now.
I have the fan on, but it's not doing me any justice.
Same here. Same here. It's just blowing hot air around.
That is hilarious. So it's hot in Buffalo too, Greg?
It's warm up here. Yeah.
Mm.
We've been the last 3 days were like just around 90s, but it's the humidity that's just killing. It's killing it. It just feels stuffy and everything else. You know that.
No doubt. No doubt. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get this thing kicked off. So, welcome to season 5, episode 9 of the State Specific Show, where we weave across the country and the world to highlight local sneaker cultures specific to those geographic areas. My name is Gabriel Fortson. You can find me across all platforms at Gabriel Fortson.
What's up, everybody? I'm your co-host Greg, and you can find me on my feature page at laced_differently.
All right. So, our guest tonight represents Westchester, New York. She has been a part of the sneaker culture since she was a little girl and had the privilege of seeing how sneakers and fashion evolved from what some may call the Mecca, New York City. Having a vantage point of the different styles and trends from Upper Manhattan, Queens, and the Bronx, she has a unique perspective on the culture and undoubtedly understands that the uncertainty we are facing today in the culture is just a phase that we have to endure and work together to determine some of the outcomes. Her passion for the culture also extends into health and beauty, as she is a huge promoter of fitness and has a business educating others on beauty and skincare. Her sneaker collection not only represents her classic and carefree nature, but it also represents some grill status pairs. She has served our community in the state of New York in multiple capacities, and we are thankful for her service in those areas. She is a sneakerhead, beauty expert, entrepreneur, traveler, and a lover of music and fashion. She goes by at LACIBAENA on IG. Please welcome Issa to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very grateful.
Oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely. So we always like to kick it off just with a few personal questions, so our guests can kind of get to know you a little better. But what's your first memory relating to just sneaker style or culture? Where did it all begin?
I think it all began in high school.
Okay.
I think in high school we all kind of get that feeling of, you know, we're evolving as adults, you know, the pre-adult era, and we want to look fly. We want to walk the halls.
Yep.
We want to be, you know, dip. Make sure you're always on point, and definitely that's where I think my love of fashion and sneakers just came about.
Okay.
I remember there were, every time you'd go to school, there were a group of guys who check you at the door. Like, what you got on? What you got on today? You know, and that was the norm. You know, like what you
Yep.
rocking today? Back then in the '90s, when I went to high school, it was Guess, Tommy Hilfiger, Jabot. You know, you had your Jordans, but you also had Adidas that were really big back then. So
Yep.
it was dope. It was just, it was inevitable to just fall in love with that. You know,
For sure.
Absolutely.
fall in love with that desire and that love to always look fresh.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, the sneaker culture, it evolves, and as it has evolved, and, you know, you talked about kind of getting linked into it and loving it towards high school, the lines kind of get blurred between being a sneakerhead, a reseller, hype beast, or novice. Which one of those would you consider yourself to be at the moment?
I consider myself a sneakerhead. Definitely not a reseller. Definitely not a hype beast.
Yeah.
I was probably collecting sneakers from late '80s, early '90s. Unfortunately, I grew up. I grew up in Manhattan, in New York City, and we were dirt poor. So if I had a pair of sneakers, I ran them to the ground.
Yeah.
They were gone in like 6 to 8 months. They were beat up.
Yep.
So it wasn't like you could be a collector back then.
Yeah.
But I did have a lot of like staple sneakers, like just off the top of my head, I remember my dad took me to go buy the Deion Sanders, I want to say Diamond Turf. I forget what year those came out in. 93?
Yes. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. And I begged him for him. I begged him for him because at the time, you know, the little boyfriend that I had, he had them. So it was like, you know, you wanted to be cool.
Yeah.
You wanted to walk in with your boyfriend, rocking the same sneakers and looking cute. And that was dope. That's a great memory I have, you know, of, you know, getting those sneakers. But it was hard to get sneakers back then. That was the norm, you know. I had a few other, like, you know, you had a couple of Adidas, the shell tops, shell toes, and but you didn't keep them.
Yeah.
I think that evolved later on in the 2000s, where people started kind of showing up with their collections, and it was like, oh my God, you held on to those! Wow.
Yeah, that's the thing I always think about is like those people that really had it kind of, I don't know if they did it on purpose or just kind of, you know, did it by chance, but those people that just held on to certain things, right? That just kind of, you know, linked into that part of collecting early on and were able to hold on to some of those grail status shoes that, you know, a lot of us can't touch now. You know,
Yep.
I don't think I would have had that forethought because I'm like you, right? I was from a socioeconomic standpoint to where it's like that pair of shoes had to last me through a certain period of time of my life. And by the time I was done with them, they had holes in the bottoms or, you know, just kind of dogged out. So keeping them wasn't even like something that we thought about, you know?
Yeah, correct. It's true. And when I see people with collections that are like, wow, I am like, I'm just amazed because how did you think of holding on to that?
Yeah.
You know, that's something more, I want to say, like I said, newer. People hold on to sneakers now, but before you couldn't unless you came, you know, like you said, like from a different socioeconomic background, then you held on to them. You could, you know, you could have 2 or 3 pairs,
Right.
but I couldn't.
And that all depends on sizing too, because a lot of times, like when you're growing up, it's like, you know what, you only had that one pair, but it was like, I'm gonna be in a different pair anyways next year. So it was that nice feeling of like, I can beat these, I can wear these, that you're supposed to actually enjoy them instead of collecting them, and some of these sit on shelves at other places. So it is the other side of it, but at least you got to enjoy the sneaker, even though you don't have it anymore. So that's
Yeah,
always nice as well.
that's very true. And I think that's another issue that I also had, that I still have, that there are a lot of sneakers that do not come in my size.
Yeah.
And they're impossible to get.
Yep.
So
Oh, that's it. And we generally ask kind of what drives what. Do the kicks drive the fit, or do the fit drive the kicks for you?
ooh, that's a tough one. I think that depends on what mood I wake up.
Okay.
There's days that I'm just like, I have like a color stuck in my head, you know, like I want to wear that blue polo hoodie. What can I rock it with, you know? Or you wake up and you're just staring at your kicks like, what am I gonna wear today, you know? And then you grab the kick first and then you put the fit together. So, like I said, it's day by day.
Good
I don't have a
mix.
certain
Yep.
like thing that I stick with. And
Yeah.
like right now, it's the summer. I am not wearing any sneakers. It's just not happening. At least for me, you know, the summer is just flip flops, sandals, shoes.
Okay.
That's just what I rock in the summer. So
Yep.
That's cool. Yeah, yeah, I know. That concrete gets hot up there, man. It gets hot. So, kind of talking about some of the old school shoes and stuff like that, but just in general, what's been your longest sneaker chase or the most interesting cop that you've had so far?
I don't think I've ever chased a sneaker. There is one that I've had my eye on, but I do not believe that they come in my size, and it's the De La Soul Dunks,
Hmm.
Okay.
the high top black ones, and yeah, I don't think they come in my size. I'm always, you know, kind of looking, searching. I get on all the sites, but yeah, to my knowledge, they never dropped in my size,
I got
and
you.
fortunate because those are the ones that's a pair that I would really, really love to have.
Yep.
You're what, 4.5?
4.5.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's tough. It's
That's
tough.
tough
That's
size for
Yeah,
sure.
yep.
the grade school size, and I usually, you know, I'll stick to the grade school because it just fits better.
Okay.
The men 4.5 is a little big sometimes, depending on the style. So I stick to the grade school sizes.
Gotcha. Does the quality on that, like when you have that option, do you ever take that into consideration of like, is the men's going to be higher quality than like the grade school, or?
I know it is. The men's is always higher quality.
Yeah.
It's just they look better, they're made better. There's more leather on them if it's if it's a leather material. But the grade school just fits better for me.
Okay.
So I'm gonna stick always to the grade school. I've seen the differences, and I know a lot of people rather go for the men's sizes, but I just
Yep.
no. I'm gonna stick to my grade school.
There you go.
It's more economical as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's very true. It's a lot less expensive, so that's a plus for me.
Gotcha. And as of now, like what brands and silhouettes does your collection consist of?
I was a big purveyor of the ones, man. I love the ones. It's just
Okay.
that classic silhouette.
Yeah.
You can't beat a one. You just can't. I have a lot of dunks because I find that they're a similar silhouette, but I do find that dunks are way more comfortable than the Jordans,
Yep.
hands down, for me.
Yep.
When I wear Jordan 1 for too long, that pinky is screaming like, get me out of here.
Certainly.
I have a lot of fours, but I probably have over 60, 70 pairs of ones.
Okay.
Fours, I probably have about anywhere from 20 to 30 pairs of fours. And recently, I've honestly just been trying to get my hands on all twos. any two out there, I want it
Yep.
because it really does remind me of my era. I know they're all from my era, but from when I was younger. But the twos is I just love the silhouette. I really am loving it right now. So
Yeah.
I'm chasing all the twos. I'm chasing. I'm literally bidding on I think 25 pairs of twos.
Really?
Yeah.
So last year had to be your year then with the twos because
Yeah.
I mean,
I got a
haven't
lot.
ever seen more than that. Yeah. So,
And they're great.
it's,
So comfy. They're so comfortable.
they are. And that's I will say, like, for the snow around, like, New York, that's my good, like, winter shoe because it reminds me of, like, that skate shoe. It's got a lot of padding to it. They're comfortable. And that's like, yep. In wintertime, that's when I start pulling out the twos again.
Yeah. I'm loving the twos, man. Really loving the twos. And I know people they don't, a lot of people knock the twos. They're like, it's an ugly silhouette. I love them. I love how they look with my fits. And
Yep.
I'm just going to really try to get all of them. As many as I can.
Yep.
Speaking of, getting shoes, like, do you have a bucket list of sneakers that you really got to have in your collection that you're shooting for at some point?
No, I'm not your typical sneakerhead. Like, I don't have this list. Like, I have to have all this. Like, I would love to have like the Pigeon, the New York City
Yep.
ones, but
Yeah.
God,
Unless we see a re-release. Yep.
God help me if I ever get my hands on those. But I do have some staple ones. I've been very lucky. I actually have the Off-White Chicago's,
Hmm.
the Off-White Whites, and the Off-White UNCs, and they were gifted to me. So I humble myself because I didn't acquire them. Someone gave them to me, and I had to actually have them authenticated because I was just like, "You're not just gonna give me these.
Seems too good to be true nowadays. You got to check
There's
it.
gotta be something behind this." But yeah, they were good to go, and I'm very grateful that I have them in my collection. They're
Wow.
probably like my grail sneakers,
Absolutely.
because it's rare to have all three.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in my
Because the white
size,
in your size, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the white pair was a European
the
drop
Euro,
only, from what I
yeah,
understand. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
it
So
was,
you have all three.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was very lucky. Like I said, I'm super grateful.
Yep. And do you have any horror stories of like scuffing,
Oh,
ruining, or losing pairs?
Jesus.
Oh no. We never want to see that
The
reaction.
heartache.
It hurts to ask this question.
I have a pair of chameleons, right? The one chameleons,
Yeah.
and
All pair. Yep.
I don't know how, and I don't remember at what point, but I must have scratched up against something, and they have like a big knife kind of like slash right on the leather.
Oh, wow.
I kind of fixed it on my own. I did a little YouTubing, and you can't tell at all, but I know that underneath that they're cut.
Yeah.
So it's very painful. And then you have the stories of getting kind of taken by someone on, IG when you're trying to chase a sneaker.
Yeah.
And I really hate that. I hate people who just try to get over on others when you're just, you're after a certain sneaker or something.
Yep.
But other than that's my only horror story with scuffing. I've never lost a sneaker. I've given a lot away, actually. In the last year, I've probably given away 20 pairs of Jordans.
Wow.
And I know, people look at me like I'm crazy, but I feel like if something is just sitting there collecting dust and I'm not wearing it, I'm not finding how to put it together with anything. I know there's other people, my parents come from the Dominican Republic. I know there's kids out there who you give them a pair of sneakers and you've made their year, man. They're happy to
Yep.
get them, and I'm happy to give back. I can always, if I feel like, oh, I shouldn't have given that up, I'll go get it again. It's not a big deal. I'm at a point in my life I can do that.
Yeah.
But it feels good. to kind of give back. And I don't need to have 200 pairs of sneakers sitting in my house that I'm not going to wear. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I do find that I've been getting rid of things that I'm just not rocking, and being more, I guess, focused on what I really want to collect. Like I said, the twos.
Yep.
I'm focused on that, and I want to make room for them. I don't want to. I'm not knocking people who have sneaker rooms. Listen, if you can do it, knock yourself out. I love it. When are you gonna wear them all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great
That's
to
the
be.
reality. Yep.
That's a collector. That's a collector. That's someone who collects. And I'm not knocking people for that. I think it's great. If you have the space, you can do it. It's awesome. I love looking at like people's collections. It's great. You know, like I said, people who've held on to sneakers for so long. That's beautiful. To me, that's not important. So.
Yeah.
Without. Yeah, Greg, what you gonna do with all those sneakers behind you, man?
Hey. Hey, I've been. It's funny too because I've honestly reached that point of like trying to kind of shift things around and figure out what's important to me, what do I need, and like what did I just buy to kind of like I need these and I didn't really need them. You know, they've sat there and kind of like you said. So it's a constant reshaping, but yeah, it's been a battle.
Yeah, yeah.
So like right now in my living room, I have, I want to say 15 boxes
Okay.
from 2023 that I haven't opened.
What?
But
Yeah. And I'm still kind of going through them, and it's like I gotta open them, you know, eventually. And I haven't worn them. It's like that's crazy. And I wanted them. There was stuff that I bid on, and I have them. I have to get in the room and rearrange sneakers and kind of organize them because I try to organize them by number
yeah.
and then color. You know, however everyone has different styles, and that's another thing. I don't keep boxes. I don't think I've ever had a pair that for me was like, oh, I gotta keep this box.
Yeah.
Like the Off-Whites, I knew I was gonna wear them to the ground, and I have. I wear those suckers because I love them. So I didn't feel like I needed to keep the box. I know people are like, oh my god.
I know. I'm trying to contain myself over here.
It is. I will say it is true though. I've thought that of myself. Of like these pairs that I have no intention of not feeding to the ground. It's like, why am I holding on to the box? Because I know it's A, taking up more room, and B, like there's no way I'm never going to be able to sell these by the time I'm done with them. So
Yeah.
it is a good mindset to have of like, I'm going to wear this to the ground. I don't need to take care of the box and everything else and waste all that time or space, really. Especially in
I'm the
New
opposite.
York.
I
Yep.
love, yeah, you guys are in New York, so it's different, but I love the box. Like when a box comes to me and it has like a hole in it or a corner is like beat up or something like that, like I just want to scream when I get those shipments in because the box is just that important to me. But you know, I digress. But
It's okay.
but your sister says she's on her way over there to help you open up those 15 boxes you have.
So let's open those boxes. I know I have to get to them. Eventually I will.
That's hilarious. So, you know, being in New York and kind of growing up in the city, and you mentioned you grew up in, you know, Manhattan, but just as far as your sneakers, fashion style, what borough had the most influence on you when it comes to those things?
It has to be Manhattan. I grew up in Washington Heights in the city. And when I was coming up, I don't even know if I should say this, but here we are. So
Here we are.
let's go all in.
No doubt.
I grew up in an era where you hung out on the corners, you hung out with your local drug dealers, and they took care of you. Sometimes they bought you stuff, and they were the ones who influenced us in terms of like clothing, what to buy. Hey, shorty, you can't be rocking that. You gotta rock this. Let's go. We'll take you shopping real quick right now. Like, okay, let's go. You know, you were like a kid in a candy store. Let's go. And it was great because you'd go downtown. I remember when Fat Farm opened in New York City.
Yep.
And I was there like the first week that it open, buying hoodies that did not fit me because they were all men's sizes. They didn't make stuff for kids. So wearing like baggy sweaters that probably came down to my knees because I'm short now. I'm only 4'11". Back then I was really short. And wearing Jabot jeans. I know I still have a pair of Jabot jeans from the 90s.
Okay.
I held on to those.
Yeah.
That was one pair that I held on to. And I don't know why, but I still have them. And you know, it was the era of just always looking fly, always. Like I said earlier, you know, you had your Guess, your Tommy. That's what was in back then. Polo was big. It's still big. I love polo, man. That's always gonna be that, like, the iconic staple item in my closet. I'm always gonna have polo everywhere.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think that really had a huge influence. Always, you know, people always made sure that you looked fresh. They looked out for you, and I'm grateful to those guys, as bad as they were, because they were bad to the bone. But that was what I grew up around. So they did the right thing by us in terms of, you know, making sure we were always fresh. And I think that really played a big part. It stays with you because you're always like, I gotta look fresh. I gotta look fresh. I gotta look fresh. And like I said, in the summer now, I'm not rocking as many sneakers. You know, it's the summer. You want to look cute. You rocking your dresses and your skirts and everything. But come fall and winter, I'm a tomboy at heart, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. I love it. I love putting my outfits together. I just feel, you know, like you say, fresh. You feel fresh. Like, okay, I got that. I got the fresh. I got the fresh layers on today. I'm matching. My colors are good.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, you know.
That's it.
No doubt. Yeah. I you know, had relatives and friends and stuff like that would I grew up in Georgia, right? So, and I grew up in rural Georgia actually. So, but you would have relatives that would come down from New York and, you know, up in the East Coast or whatever, and they would kind of bring some of that flavor down or whatever, and, you know, they would kind of have that little swag about them or whatnot. But, you know, we had our thing going on too. It's like, yeah, we see you, but hey, we fresh down here too.
You got a little swag too.
No doubt.
That's what I always say. I think we had the advantage up here of having like 7 different layers. Like, as soon as the snow starts falling, it's like you can have the hoodie, you can have the t-shirt underneath. Yeah. It's like you got more endless like options. Where like in the South, it's like you got shorts, maybe pants, like a few sweatshirts. It's not, yeah. You can style it up with jackets or whatever we need to up here.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And plus things hit y'all faster too, right? Because you have all the fashion houses and stuff like that. So
yeah,
you know, the things that were popping globally, you know, they either started in New York or hit New York very shortly after they started. So you guys had like this unfair advantage of information before we
New York, man.
So this is kind of the part where we're going to switch more to like New York-based questions. But we want you to choose 3 sneakers that you think best represent New York through your eyes. So whether it be a personal experience, it could be anything. It doesn't have to be a direct connection, or it could just simply be a, you know, New York exclusive release. So if you have them, feel free to show them, but just kind of let us know what they are and why you picked them. If not,
I don't know. That's a tough one. I feel like the Jordan 1 Chicagos are always going to be, I wouldn't say New York. I would just say that's something like nationwide. Like, it's just that one sneaker that's going to always represent any sneakerhead. For New York, though, I'd probably pick the Breads.
Yep.
Only because it's that darker theme, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, it's hard. I mean, I know with the re-release of the Woos, which I need to get my hands on. I don't know how. I don't know who I'm going to kill to get those, but I need those. I need those.
Well,
That
if
for
you're
me is,
going for grade school too, you should have a lot of
yeah.
people being able to help you out. So make sure you let me
Oh,
and
for
Gabe know as well. Kind of speaking on Gabe's
Yeah,
behalf here, but we'll gladly help you out there
she
too.
already know.
um, I definitely grew up in the Wu era. I love Wu Tang. And music is my thing. And the Wu, man, there's so many memories behind that music that I need those in my collection. Those are a must.
Yeah,
A
Yeah,
must. Um, I don't really have anything to me that stands out that says, "Oh, New York." I want to say Foam Posits. I feel
yep,
like Foam Posits really do give that kind of New York flavor,
yeah,
um,
for sure.
but not any color in specific. I know a lot of people love rocking the Yankee blue.
Yep.
Um, that's always going to be a kind of iconic color too for New York. So anything in that blue color, like let's say the Georgetown 85s, that color, the Georgetown colors, they're just great. Um,
Mhm.
I feel like that does kind of give off a New York vibe.
Hmm.
I think that's my take on
For
that.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
And I love it because typically when you ask somebody from New York that question, they immediately go to Uptowns, right? So it's
yeah,
like, they just always say it, and I'm glad that you didn't do that.
yep.
Everybody, nah, you gotta switch it up a
Uptowns
little
or
bit, man.
Tim's are a safe bet on that answer. That's
Yeah,
usually
man.
you're gonna hear one of those two. Yep.
I love Tim's and I rock them.
Yeah.
I think I have maybe like 3 pairs of Tim's, but and they're the iconic, but they're not sneakers. They're boots.
Yeah.
It's I know it's the same kind of culture, the same style, the same realm. Um, but you get so tired of hearing what everyone else says.
Yep.
Yeah, the Timberlands, but what about everything else? There's so much more out there.
Right, right.
Yep.
And I love it because you're right. The Chicago one is just kind of universal, but to narrow it down to the bread, it does kind of give that a little bit
That
more
gritty,
grimy New
New
York.
York
Yeah,
gritty.
yeah. Yeah, so that's dope. So, kind of looking at New York overall and growing up there and kind of seeing how fashion and stuff like that and styles have evolved. And, you growing up in the 90s, kind of getting fresh, from that standpoint. Like, what do you see now? Like, when you walk around and you're kind of observing, people and the styles and things like that you're seeing, what type of style or fashion perspective do you see the city having right now? Is it like something that's just kind of all over the place, or do you see a certain theme that kind of weaves the city together?
Um, there's certain people, if you're walking around, you'll see certain people who have like that great style. You'll catch someone wearing like a rare pair of Dunks, maybe like I don't know, Spectrums, which are rare. Not a lot of people know, But when you catch that one person, you're like, oh, okay. Then you start looking like, okay, what's he rocking? What are those jeans? What's that top? Because now that person has caught your attention by what their sneakers. Like, you make shoe contact before you make eye contact. It is what it
No
is.
doubt,
Yep.
no doubt.
But New York, I feel it's such a, like you said, like a mecca. There's so much going on here that you'll have people wearing like a great pair of Jordan 1s with like just a jacked up outfit. And you're like, okay, it's just New York. And it's okay. That's just, they don't think about putting it together. They just care that they're wearing a pair of Jordans.
Mhm.
Yep.
Sometimes the colors don't even go. And you're like, oh my God, what is going on here? But New York has become the central area of pandas, and I have nothing against pandas, man. I love anything black and white. I feel like it's such a great colorway that goes with anything, but everywhere you go, that's what you see on people, and it's because I think is good in terms of Nike has given people the opportunity for like moms, single moms who can't afford to like get that, let's say $200 pair of Jordan 4s that the kid wants, but he can get a pair of Dunks and they're
Yeah.
easily accessible. And people forget that. Like, it's okay for a sneaker to be accessible. There's
Right.
nothing wrong
Right,
with that.
right,
If you don't want it and you feel like, oh, that sneaker is so bad, it's played out, then okay, then don't buy it.
yeah,
That's
Yep.
it. You just don't get it.
right.
Like, you don't knock someone because what they can afford, and that's what they can get their hands on. And I think in terms of sneakers, that's become a good thing for Nike, not for us. Um, these people can afford that.
Mm-hmm.
These people can feel like they look fresh. Oh, I got the pandas. Listen, we real sneakerheads know. I have a pair of high top Dunk Pandas, and I love them because I love high tops.
Yeah.
But I've never gotten the Pandas because they didn't call my attention. They weren't who I was.
Yeah.
And even the Pandas that I do have, I'm not necessarily rocking them everywhere. You know, I'm gonna be very specific to when I wear them. But I hate when people are always like kind of knocking down a pair of kicks. And I know, listen, we know what's going on, but we don't have to knock everybody for doing them.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? And everywhere you go, that is when you see people rocking. So when you do see someone rocking, like, you know, even like an old pair of Jordans, and you know, like that's a relic. You're like, ooh, who are you?
Right.
Can we talk?
Yeah.
You know, it's nice to see that. If you go downtown into the city into like Soho and all those places downtown, you'll see more fashion forward people who really, you know, put their outfits together. They leave their homes with an intention, like, you know, this is what I'm gonna be rocking. You know, I want to make a statement today, and they put it together, and it's dope. It's great to see like certain outfits just with the right pair of sneakers. So
Mm-hmm.
New York is New York, man. Money making Manhattan.
No doubt. No doubt. So it used to be a time to where you could tell what borough a person was from based on the way that they're dressed. Is that still the case?
I don't think so. Not anymore. Before you could.
Yeah.
Not anymore. There were certain, you know, boroughs who, like the borough who rocked Carl Kanai, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the days, the people who wore maybe Columbia sportswear, you know, the jumpsuits. You knew like a lot of those people came from Staten Island, and I'm not I'm not knocking anybody because I had one of those Columbia sportswear. I love them, and even Manhattan people rock them. But before, you kind of could tell. Now,
Yeah.
not so much. I don't think so, in my opinion.
Okay. Okay. No, I hear you.
And that's what and does the sneaker community in New York, in your experience, does that feel close knit or very divided through your eyes?
I think it's divided. It's about like who's got more than the other person, you know, who looks better than the other. And it's like, guys, we're all here for the same thing, you know, like we're trying to collect. What do you have? Maybe we could do a trade. Maybe we could, and that doesn't really exist. Like, honestly, I think I've been to the kids store once, and the only reason I was there was because Summer Street. Summer Streets here, it means they close down all of like the streets in Manhattan, and you can run through them, or you know, you can work out. And I just happened to be running by there, and I was like, "Oh shit! Look, this is where the kids' store is at." But you know, even when they have their events, you have to be in the, you know, in the know. You have to kind of know someone to get invited. So it's like, I don't know anybody. I'm just little old Issa over here, you know, in Westchester. I'm not getting invites. So it's sad though to see that though, because New York is such a central city. It's such an important city that, you know, I feel like sneakerheads should really like get together and do more events.
Yeah.
So I know that when you were growing up, there were, you know, a plethora of mom and pop shops, you know, places that were kind of in the neighborhood that you would go buy your sneakers and stuff like that. Do you still have any of those left? And if not, like what type of places do people go to now to do their sneaker shopping?
I don't know if there are now. I know when I was younger, like even literally down the block from my house, right on the corner where I used to live at, there was an Asian man who everyone knew he was like the guy. Everyone would walk into the store like, "What's up?" Because that was the one place where everyone got their sneakers. So you knew what was coming in. You knew when it was dropping. If you needed something and somebody wanted something, he put it aside for you. But you don't see that anymore. Maybe that still exists, and I'm sure it does, because there's a lot of people who get their kicks beforehand and they don't tell anyone, they just they're all just showing off on IG, and you're like, damn it, I want those.
Right.
Yep.
But I don't get out much in terms of going to see if those mom and pop shops are still around. I'm sure they are. I'm sure a lot of them went out of business, during the pandemic, unfortunately, because it was, it was a hard time for mom and pop stores. In New York, you have the big stores. Like I said, you have your regular Foot Locker. You have your Adidas stores. You have your kids store. There's a whole bunch of other ones downtown. I don't know all of them. I don't do shopping in stores.
Okay.
I try to kind of do everything online. I know what I want. I try to bid on stuff, especially now where the prices are just amazing.
Yeah.
Like it's a sneakerhead's dream right now out there.
It really is.
And if we're not taking advantage of it, I don't know what anyone's doing. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely taking advantage of it, and it's great. But yeah, I don't know if there's a lot of mom and pop stores. I know there are, but I feel like resellers have kind of started to rent out spaces to sell sneakers, and that's unfortunate because they're selling stuff at ridiculous prices. And if people are paying that, shame on them, because we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't be giving these resellers that platform. But to each his own.
No doubt.
Agreed. Yep. And what kind of local shows, conventions, or meetups do you have around you? And do you ever feel compelled to attend any of them?
I don't. I know SneakerCon comes around to New York.
Yep.
Maybe the next one I'll go to it. Honestly, before, because of my job, I couldn't get to anything. It was hard. It was just tough because I worked the same long hours, and I just couldn't. There was no way I was going to get to them. Now I have more time, so I may go to the next one and just check it out and see what's going on. But like, I wouldn't walk in there, and I'm not paying thousands of dollars for no sneaker. It's just not happening. Yep. No.
It'll be for the fellowship, right?
That's it.
So this is a pretty long question, so bear with me. So recently there have been multiple announcements of certain Grail level sneakers re-released in the future, namely one that you mentioned, the Wu-Tang Dunk, and we also have the undefeated Jordan 4 that's going to be re-releasing potentially. Much debate has ensued around whether Grails should be re-released. What is your take on that, and what does a shoe like the Wu-Tang Dunk mean to New York? And you might want to answer that part first.
I know if you're from New York and you grew up in the 90s, you're going to want that shoe. That's going to be a staple item in your collection. Like, if you don't want that, for anyone listening out there, man, I need it. So, help me out, man. I think it's dope that they're releasing them. I think when they originally released, there was only maybe 100 pairs, right?
Not very many.
No?
Yeah,
They weren't
very
that
limited.
So even the pictures that are out there are very few, far in between. Like, you don't see them.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're not going to release a lot of them. They're not. They're going to keep it at a certain minimum so that, they can still remain kind of like that Grail status. But I need those. And I think it's dope that they're releasing them in New York, like everywhere. But for New York, that's big. I know I've seen a lot of people online saying like, oh, I don't want them. And then I'm checking their profile, like, where are you from? You ain't from New York.
Right.
No way you're saying that, and you're from New York. But yeah, I'm excited about that. In terms of re-releases, the undefeated 4s, those are the green ones, right?
Yeah, Okay, they have a
Yep.
they're the darker
like a
green,
like
yeah,
a
with
green hue.
orange. Uh-huh.
That's another thing I'll tell you about myself. I suck with names, dates. I can't remember half of that stuff. Like at a moment, if we're in a conversation, yeah, I'll remember it. But just to spit out facts and what year this happened and what Jordan was, Michael Jordan wearing when he won this, I can't
Yeah.
do it. That's just
Yeah.
me.
I
Like
don't do it either. I don't even try.
No, I agree. Yeah,
the
I'm the same
brain
way.
fog is real. But I know a lot of people get upset because of the re-releases, but a lot of us weren't able to get it back then. So why not give us an opportunity now to be able to, even though it's not from the same year. But even people who have like the original ones, they want to get a newer pair. I know there's people who have like, let's say, a certain Jordan who that's re-released maybe 3 or 4 times, and they have every single pair.
Mhm.
Let the collector do their thing. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Release them all. We want them all.
That's how I feel too, man. Re-release everything.
Re-release everything.
And the thing about it, like if a shoe released in 1997, that 1997 shoe is still the 1997 shoe. Like what releases this year doesn't, change that shoe released in 1997.
Everything.
And,
Exactly.
and I get from a market standpoint that it does have an impact, but I mean, either you're in it for the shoe or you're in it for the money. Like it's sitting in
Yeah.
your closet or on the shelf somewhere anyway. So who cares? Like
I
re-release
get
everything.
that, but I mean, honestly, can you really still wear a 1997 shoe unless you've changed the sole and changed a lot of things on it? There's no way you're gonna rock that to the street. It's gonna
Yeah.
crumple.
Very few
Not
pairs. Yeah.
wearable.
Yep.
You had to have some like oxygen chamber.
Right.
Come on, that's just not happening.
No doubt, no doubt.
Yeah, yeah. And we've all kind of gone through the progressions of like posting a lot and then kind of stepping away from social media for a little bit. But how do you feel social media has kind of impacted the sneaker culture?
I think it's good and bad. Good in terms of that, people who have there's people who have a talent for taking pictures. God bless them. There's people out there who are just great with those. There's people who just want to take a simple picture, snap it, and that's their picture of the day, and that's great. I tend to post whatever I grab, whatever I buy, I try to showcase it, maybe like my outfits, but I'm not like, it's not everything to me. Like I have to show my entire sneaker collection. If I'm in the mood and I'm like, oh, let me do a video showcasing all my sneakers, I'll do that. But I have to be in the mood for that. Like I'm not gonna center my life around just like, oh my God, everybody's posting the undefeateds. I gotta go get mine. Hold on, let me go outside. I gotta get that shot. Like I'm not doing that. That's not who I am. If I get a good shot and it just happens to come upon and I post it, great, beautiful. But I want to have a little bit of everything. I used to have another account on IG where I just posted sneakers, and I got some love, but I didn't get a lot of love from people. And I used to take the time to just get the right shot. I got tired of it. It was like the lighting has to be right, the angle, and I was like, I gave up. Now I just, I post what I feel. If I feel like I got a good shot, great. If I don't, great also, because I'm still going to put it up. But I think you just have to go with what you feel. I like how some people just showcase, everyone else's stuff. I think you do that, right?
Yeah.
You do that.
Yeah,
I love
it's a
that.
feature
I
page.
think that's freaking great because it kind of, your page is just dedicated to that. So I'll go look and I'll be like, look at that pic. That's kind of a dope. Let me see that person's page. And it'll direct me to their page, which is kind of dope. I think you just have to find your people on IG, the people who kind of call to you. It doesn't have to be fancy, flashy. Some can be, there's nothing wrong if you're taking the time out to be a great, artist in terms of, your photography. Hey, listen, that's great. And those are your people, follow them. I think you just have to embrace the people who embrace you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find that Instagram kind of gets away from that, you know, like you have to follow only the people with, you know, 50,000 followers. Why? What if I like the guy who's only got like 500 followers?
Exactly. Yeah.
He's got some dope sneakers, like, so. Yeah,
I love
I don't
that.
know.
I love that.
IG gets a little convoluted sometimes. You know, I think you just have to stay true to yourself.
Yeah,
For sure.
that's the best answer ever, honestly. Yeah. Um, we kind of talked about, you know, kind of how things felt back then versus how they feel now. So, you know, we won't get deep off into that question. But I know last time I visited New York, we had an opportunity to kick it. I appreciate it. Spend a little time with a brother. Um, but you told me the story, and I can't remember exactly what it was. And you may have mentioned it earlier about, you know, like a pair of sneakers that you couldn't get or something, and your dad got them. But you may have mentioned that earlier.
Oh, it
Do
was
you recall that story?
probably the pair of Deion Sanders.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that earlier. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was after those because my boyfriend at the time had them, and you know, everyone in school was always like matchy with their little boyfriend. You know, like you got the same little outfits, and I was like, yo, but I want to look cool too. um, and my dad was able to, you know, he went and got it for me. So I thought that was really dope of him because I hounded him though for it.
Yeah.
Come on, Bob, come on, come on. And he was like, ah, you know, like my dad is a little rough around the edges. Ah, I ain't getting you no sneakers. You need that for you got sneakers. And it's like, if I get 2 sneakers, I gotta get your sister and your brother sneakers. And it's like, they don't want sneakers. They all right. I want them. But yeah, it was dope, you know, and you know, and literally I went down the block and got them. So
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's cool, man. Just to know that somebody supports like just that desire, right? The desire, like you say, to kind of fit into like culturally what's going on at the moment, and to have that opportunity to do that, that's awesome.
yeah, it was really dope. I mean, I did have to wash a lot of dishes. I did have to clean a lot, but you know, what are you gonna do?
Yep. Yep. And you mentioned you've been collecting since the '90s, but how's like the sneakers you're chasing? Has that changed? Are you still chasing some of the same style silhouettes, or kind of how has your sneaker story evolved, really?
No, like I said, it's changed a lot. I still love the ones, and there's a lot of colors that I still want to get,
Okay.
but it was a pair that dropped this week. The I don't even know the name of them.
Yeah, first of flights,
The
the blue and white ones.
blue ones,
Hmm.
yeah. The colors were dope, but it was just like, do I really need another pair of blue white ones? Like I have so many, and maybe in the future I will get them. But
Yeah.
right now, like I said, I'm bidding on so many twos. I a lot, like a lot. And I think I got like 2 pairs and I haven't even opened the box, but that's what I'm focused on right now. I really want to build my collection of twos. That's what I'm
Okay.
going after, and I'm happy. There are a few dunks that I would like to get. Nothing crazy, but some old ones that I never, you know, was able to get, but nothing, you know, out of the blue. Nothing,
Yeah.
nothing
Absolutely.
fancy. Nothing like a pigeon.
Yeah, we had to hit the lotto to get the pigeon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Man,
definite lotto.
yeah. So growing up in New York, right? You know, style and fashion is like always the pinnacle, right? And with that is music. So just kind of over the years, you know, kind of talk about like how you've seen it and what that's meant to you in regards to like the marriage of style and fashion and music.
For New York, I think that goes hand in hand. The hip hop culture, I think, goes hand in hand with the sneakerhead culture,
Yeah.
and I think that's dope. Um,
Yeah.
like when I think about, to go back to the Wu-Tangs that are going to release, I think about like that video, Protect Your Neck. And I think about like, I still remember when that video dropped and everybody was like, these guys are crazy. They're never going to make it. Who do they think they are? Like 10 heads in one song. But look at where they are now. They built an empire. And that's just an example. I love how artists used to get together. And I think it was Diamond D was always decked out. Like he always had on the dope fits.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that you just always remember. I remember there was a store, I think it's still downtown, 18th and Broadway, Paragon Sporting Goods. And I walked in there to get a pair of like some ACG Nike boots because that was the only place that had them. No other place in the city had them. And I ran into Gangstar there. Oh,
really?
I was like, wait a minute. And I must have been, I think I was in college by then, but I recognized him right away. I stopped, I was talking to him, and it was just great. And he's like, what are you here for? And I'm like, oh, I'm getting these boots. And he's like, yo, those are tight, like whatever. I don't remember the exact conversation, but he was just like so cool about it. And it was like, look at that. I came here to get a pair of like, Nike boots. Yeah. And here I am running into this rap star. And I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. Young. And it's just, it goes hand in hand in New York, the music culture, the sneaker culture. If anyone says otherwise, I don't know where they're at, but
yeah,
it's just, yeah. And you hear it in the songs, like those songs, they'll say it. They'll always mention like a Jordan or a Nike or, an Adidas. Always.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah. And just kind of, thinking back, even songs like through the 80s and they did it in the 90s and 2000s too, but just the references to style and fashion and, going back and looking at some of the music, their album covers and the pictures and photos and stuff. And like you said, the videos, and that's really back then, you could really tell where somebody was from, like you had your Mobb Deeps and your Nas's with the, with the military jacket on, that kind of stuff. So it was like, yeah.
You from Queens. Yeah. You from the Bronx,
No doubt.
So, and what do you envision kind of the culture to look like in kind of regards to like fashion, unity, and trends in the next like 3 to 5 years for New York? Do you see it kind of continuing the same way or kind of getting a little more? I know you said it was a lot of subcultures. Do you see it kind of unifying it?
I don't think it's going to change. New York has been the same, I think, for the past like 2-3 decades. It really hasn't changed. I think people just come up with different brands, but it's the same kind of fit style. You're still going to have your hoodies. You're still going to have your jeans. Yeah, we went from like baggy jeans to skinny jeans and now back to baggy jeans. It's always changing, but it kind of stays the same,
You're right.
And I think that's okay. I mean, we have to change a little, switch it up. I think people just get bored of certain styles. But like, I'm always going to rock hoodies. That's just, to me, that's like a New York icon. Like you said, like, like people always say like the Timberlands. No, for me, it's a hoodie, man. You wear a hoodie, it could be a little on the warmer side, but if it's fall, you have your hood up, it's like, that's just the style.
Yep. Yeah. For sure.
I don't think it's going to change. I think when it comes to New York, it stays the same with like little, like, I guess I want to call it variances, like little changes, but nothing major.
For sure.
Yeah, but people still see New York as that place, right? Like it's always on a pedestal in regards to if you want to go somewhere to make it, or if you want to highlight something, or because who's that? Nigel Sylvester was just there yesterday doing a bike ride through the city, right? Like he could have he could have went to Philly, he could have went to LA, but it was New York, right? So I mean, I know he's from New York, right? He's from Queens, but it's one of those kind of things where from a marketing standpoint, he still could have chose somewhere else if he wanted to, but New York is that place, right?
It is. It is. And there's so many different brands that come out of New York and people don't realize. But I want to say that because I was born here and I grew up here, I just, it's like, and it's so bad to say that. Like, it's not that I don't appreciate it, but you're so immersed in it, you know, you've lived it, that it's just not as like hype for you. And there's some people who do. Some people are like, nah, I'm from New York. I'm repping New York. And it's like, okay, but it's just New York, man. It's just like any other major city, you know? And I'm not knocking New York. I love this. I love it here, you know? It's great. I've been here my whole life, but I think it's time to like do a little step away. New York has gotten very loud and very busy.
And very, very smelly.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah, when I was up
But
there,
New York
man,
will always be New York.
for sure.
You know, New York will always be New York. You can't take that away from it. You know, it's always gonna be that place. You know, iconic.
For sure.
You know.
Absolutely. Nice place to visit. I give New York 3 days of my time, and then I'll
That's
head on
it,
back
right?
down
Let
here.
it
Yeah.
out.
But I tell people all the time, though, that energy that's in the air, you can't replace it, though. Like, you know, especially if you're being touristy, and then you're going down in Manhattan and you're walking around and like that buzz, that energy that's in the air, like that can't be duplicated anywhere else.
Nah, I can't.
Yeah,
I can't. That's so true.
yeah.
And I think people, like, I'll give you a perfect example. So yesterday I went on just, you know, a little run. I went to go work out, and I must have been listening to I have this like playlist, and I want to say it was either Scenario or Drake. It was one of those songs that just get you
Yeah.
hyped. So I'm like running and I'm rapping and I don't realize it. And this kid is like, he's looking at me like, and I'm like, damn, I must have look like some hardcore crazy person. Like, I'm going on, I'm running, I'm rapping, and it's like, you don't realize how much you give off that like New York energy.
Yep.
And it's so instilled in you, like you don't realize that it's just who you are. Because people are like, why are you always so hardcore? And I'm like, I don't think I'm hardcore. I think I'm cool, you know. But you don't realize you give off that like New York kind of like, I don't know, gangster attitude, you know, like back up, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I tease people down here all the time that I can tell they're from New York. They moved to Atlanta, and I'm like, yeah, you bringing all that energy
New
down here. We don't move like that. Yeah, we're hospitable, man. You know, we say hello.
New York is rough, man.
No doubt.
So, is there anything else that you want to speak on that we may have missed, or take the time to plug yourself and anything you're involved in?
No. Thank you for having me on the show. This was cool. It's nice to kick it, to really just kind of give your 2 cents. Sometimes we flip through pages. You know, Gabe and I had a chance to hang out when he came down to New York and came up to New York. I mean, and it was awesome. It's nice to get off that IG and hey, I'm real, you know. And it was awesome to just kick it with him, you know, just like, hey, you know, like, what's up?
Right.
You know, I popped up on him in the stadium. I rolled up like, I'm here. And I love that. I think that's what the culture should be about, you know. Let's support each other. Let's see each other. Let's get together. You know, like, hey, we're having a whatever in you know, in Georgia. Can you come down? Let me check my dates. Yeah, I can go down. Let's do this.
Right.
You know, and it's nice to have that connection. And I think sometimes we fail to do that in the sneaker world, in the sneaker culture. You know, being a sneakerhead sometimes is hard because people they're kind of like in their own bubble. They're just worried about their likes and their fame, and it's so much more than that. It's I'm not here chasing fame or clout or anything. You know, I'm just trying to do me. I love sharing my sneakers because it is a part of who I am. My style. I I like that I can rock my sneakers and dress like a tomboy, and nobody in the sneakerhead world, um, nobody judges me. They're like,
Mhm.
"Yo, that's a dope fit," and
Yeah.
and that's what I remember from my youth, and I love that, and I want to keep that. That's just who I am. I'm never gonna change that about me. People are like, "Oh, you're old," you know. You're about to be 50. Why are you rocking sneakers? Because I love them.
Right,
What do
right.
you mean?
Yep.
I'm gonna be 75 rocking my sneakers.
Exactly. Yep.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You know,
No.
Mhm.
let people be who they want to be.
For sure.
But
Yeah.
I feel like we need to get more together when it comes to culture. We need to embrace each other more, you know, like if I say, you know, like I said earlier, I really want those dunks, you know, hey, can someone help me out? Sometimes there's times I have chase sneakers and I'm texting everyone like, hey, can you get on? Hey, can you get on? Nobody cares. Nobody
Mhm.
wants to help you. There's very few people who will go out of their way to really help you get that pair that you are like really chasing after. And you know, you get tired of entering 20 million raffles. And that's why I've kind of taken a step back. I'm tired of getting on, you know, sneakers app and it's like big L,
Yeah.
another big
Yep.
L, 5 L's, and you're like, I give up.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think I've been on that app this year maybe 2 or 3 times because you get tired of the L's.
Yep.
You really do. They say that they're getting rid of the bots, and they're not. They're not getting rid of any bots. They're
Absolutely
making their
not.
Trying
money. I
Yeah,
mean,
to
they
save
just want to
face.
sell
Yeah.
through. Yeah.
of course they're trying to save face, and then you know you're forced to go to like Go or eBay. And there's still a lot of people who buy on StockX, because they have nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll have like second-hand markets that have stuff. I know a lot of people have been doing the Facebook Marketplace now, and I'm just like, nah. I need my stuff. I want to make sure I'm buying something legit.
Yeah.
I've gotten scammed on IG, and it sucks because it's like this is what we're doing now. Like,
Mhm.
but you take it with a stride and just keep moving forward.
Keep moving forward for
For sure.
sure. Yeah. No, it's awesome. You know, your sister said she's learned some stuff about you that she didn't even know tonight.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, but no doubt. Yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Um, you know, just really great organic conversation. And that's the part that I love the most. And, you know, that's the part that I know about you anyway. And that's why I knew that it would be an awesome episode to have you on here. And, you know, so thank you for the time and thank you for everybody who joined in and like chatted in and, you know, was participating in the chat because that was awesome too. Unfortunately, we don't get a chance to read everything and kind of put it out there,
Yeah,
but, you know, some of it we
tough.
see, some of it we can't.
Yep.
Yeah. So next Thursday we'll announce who the next guest will be for next Sunday. But you know, this is episode 9, and typically for the season we'll go through 15 episodes. So we're halfway through
Nice,
season 5. Yeah,
nice.
yeah. And you know, you're an integral part of what this show is, and the show was designed for the grassroots of the community, the people that really made the culture what it is, and that's who you are.
I,
So.
For sure.
I appreciate
Um,
that.
yeah,
Appreciate you guys
yeah,
having me, man.
no,
It's awesome.
Yeah.
no
No,
doubt, no
thank you for
doubt.
joining us.
Yeah. Well, hey, we appreciate everybody, and we're gonna let everybody go, and we'll see you guys next Sunday at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Thank
You
you.
got to change the time of the show, man.
What?
This old people is late.
You said about 7:30.
Oh
It's time
man.
to set it down, right?
There we go.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for having me, man.
You too.
All right.
Appreciate you.
All
Thank you.
right, man.
Peace now.